pitching's held up pretty solidly. Believe that we can have at least a solid, maybe better than solid pitching group with the guys that we have, and potentially some more coming. Overall, I think the defensive part of the game has been good. Infield defense, quite good. A couple spots on the field that we need to tighten up defensively, and the offense hasn't gotten going yet. Believe it will, and there's a few components with that. We do have some players who, at least based on our internal measurements, are heading into a lot of bad luck, and we have a bunch of guys who are, their surface performance is below what we'd expect based on the quality of contact, things like that. And so that's a little bit of a theme for the team. And we also believe we have some reinforcements, hopefully at some point, getting healthy, and will just help us have a deeper lineup. And with that, we need to get to more consistent offense. We know that in order to win more consistent, we're gonna have to do that. So believe the work is happening. I know we're focused on it every day and working hard on it, and the guys are owning it, and believe that offense will improve as we get into the season for a variety of reasons. So that's sort of overall how I view it. 20 games in is not quite enough to draw firm conclusions, but it's enough to get a little bit of a signal.
Ben, whenever you look at, you touched on a little bit, but the injuries that you guys have experienced on the hitting side, how hard is that made it to evaluate, and how you obviously can't just wait and be like, well, whenever Nick, Spencer, all these other guys come back, then things get going, because you have however many games until then.
Yep. Also. Yeah, it's created challenges short term, both in terms of kind of building lineups and offensive lineups and defensive lineups. How do we do that day to day? It's created challenges there, and obviously the more injuries you have, the more it cuts into just the depth of the lineup and how many good matchups are you creating. We've had some days where it's been harder to do that. Candidly, believe that will get better as we get healthier and deeper. And with that, we also just need individual players to heat up and kind of just get back to something closer to their norms, and believe that will happen too. And offense is not one thing; it's a whole bunch of things, and we need all those things to be working.
It's obviously still early, 3 weeks into the season. The last year, you guys had some guys start on a 1 to 2 month slump to start the year. You stuck by those players. If that happens again, do you anticipate showing that similar longevity of patience, or in this season, do you anticipate maybe being more aggressive and looking for external change earlier in the year if you get a sense that, hey, this is going to take a while to get going?
Yeah. I don't believe that there's a single blueprint that fits for every situation. Every piece of context matters. The individual player in question matters. The team matters. What our alternative matters. All those things matter. I think as a general rule, we believe that the length of the season really tells the best story, and so the earlier we are in the season, the more careful we're going to be about making any conclusions. And that's generally going to lead to giving guys time. And we also know that, hitting's just hard, period, these days, especially early when it's cold and the stuff is as good as it is these days. It's not just the Pirates who are, who have players whose numbers don't look great yet. Look around the league and look at box scores and see a lot of weird looking OPSs. So it's just, it's a little bit of April baseball too that we're experiencing. So yeah, I don't have a specific answer to your question. It's going to be case by case. We know that to win games at the level we want to, we've got to score more runs. Bottom line, that's for sure.
And even if the results aren't there, what are you seeing from Matt as you encourage to just approach things like that?
Yeah, I think just how open-minded and really secure he is. It's been, I see examples all the time of him with players and with other staff. Really letting the answer come to him. He's got obviously a great deal of competency. That's why we hired him. But he's secure enough in himself to know that sometimes the answer is going to be lie in someone else, and he gives himself a chance to get to that answer. He's not always looking to impose his will on somebody. He's there as a guide, and I think the best coaches are that. The best coaches are guides for players to sort of find the best versions of themselves. I'm seeing some of that trait in him, and just with that, obviously we've had some games where we haven't produced offensively and scored runs, and I'm seeing the same approach the next day and from him, and even keel. He's got a great sense of humor. I think he's also just he is such a creature, and I mean that as a compliment. A creature of a baseball clubhouse. He understands the mindset of the player. He understands everything that goes with a long season, the ups and downs, and I think he just really understands sort of like the mindset you have to be successful through that. So I think we're seeing all those qualities, and but I think like the connection with we're seeing the relationship with players grow. We're seeing the relationship with staff. I was at Pirate City a couple days late in the spring and had several members of our minor league hitting department come up to me and say how connected they felt to the major league staff, how connected they felt to Matt really quickly. So it was, that's unsolicited. So yeah, a lot of that stuff, and feel really confident in the job he's doing.
Ben, you started the season with 4 catchers on the 40-man as a position of depth, and as soon as you trade Jason DeLay, Joey Bart gets hurt, Andy gets hurt. How much of that was there any regret in that trade, or is that just one of those things where you feel like that's more bad luck on your end?
Anytime we made the trade, we literally told each other, okay, what's going to happen. We're going to do this, and then we're going to have catching injuries. It's sort of bound to happen. No regrets, because you just have to make decisions when you're adding someone to the 40-man. We needed a spot. We have to make a decision based on the information we have at that time. Trust in our ability that if we have to go acquire a catcher, to replenish depth, we can do that. We did that with Brett Sullivan. There's ways to do that. So, and then we also felt like it was probably a good time for Jason to get a fresh start. He's grinded as a Pirate for a long time and had waited a long time for his opportunity, and now was in a position where there were some guys ahead of him on the 40-man, and combination of those reasons. So no, don't regret it, but certainly acknowledge that it's bound to happen. You do that, something like that, and then a week later you're gonna have injuries.
Speaking of opportunities, how much of a golden opportunity is this maybe for Henry Davis, given that Indy could be out for a little bit, that he gets a chance with some runway?
Yeah, great opportunity, and so much confidence in him behind the plate, what he's doing defensively right now for the pitcher, receiving, throwing, blocking. I mean, he earned that trust in spring training. Certainly, I think at the end of spring training, there wasn't a single person on our staff or a single pitcher who would have had any concern whatsoever with him being on the team and helping us win games as a catcher. So, when the injuries happened, we called him up. There's no concern about that whatsoever. And from my vantage point, he's caught really strong games. Every time he's been back there, the game plan, the receiving, the throwing, he's into it. His game prep's really good. So yeah, it is a good opportunity, but he's come in and done a good job.
It's kind of reversed for him when he came up, where he really wanted his bat. Now you can count on his defense. How much is it important for him to get his back on?
Yeah, I mean, it's just the ebb and flow, right, of the position a little bit. It's in most cases the player development line is not straight, and in his case it's not straight. He's taken some twists to left turns and right turns, and probably will continue to do that. But right now he's worked so hard to become, in our opinion, a strong defensive catcher. He is that, and now he's going to continue to work through some adjustments offensively to get to a place that he's capable of. He's got such a strong track record there. His work ethic is so strong. His will is so strong. When there's something in front of him, he finds a way to accomplish it. In my mind, that's just something to bet on long term. But right now, the current version of Henry Davis can help us win games.
seems like the bullpen is really coming into form with the roles and matchups you guys are getting, especially in the back innings. If this progress continues and you guys stay healthy, where do Holderman and Bednar fit into this puzzle?
Right in the middle of it. You know, those guys are proven. Obviously, in one case, closer or late inning leverage relievers with premium stuff. Absolutely going to need those guys, and when they're ready, they'll be on the team. No question for me. And then over the course of the season, obviously, we know how it goes. We're going to not use 8 guys. We're going to need more than that, and things are going to happen. And so, the more the merrier. And we're anxious to get both of those guys back on the team when they're ready and in a good spot to do that.
I think you said at the winter meetings this past year that you guys anticipate like 30-ish pitchers to use in a season.
I mean, teams use 25 to 30
Yeah, I was just
yeah.
kind of curious as to, is that a commonly thought of number across baseball, or is
Well,
that just
you want it to be a
guys?
little less than that. You want it to be like 20, 25, but sometimes it's 30. And that doesn't mean you have 25 guys pitching the same amount.
Right.
Obviously, some of those are there for a short period of time. But the point is, you need a lot of depth. You need quality depth, and you're definitely using 16 to 18 pretty regularly. So we know going into the season that that group of 13 that's on the team to start the season we're going to expand on that, and we need those guys in AAA to be ready to step up. And so far, that's happened.
Dave Waterman and Bednar, how much is the balance of they've obviously health is concerned, but how much of the balance of when they come up is based upon they've earned it or based upon whether they're needed here or not?
Well, they're different cases. I think with Holderman, he was injured, and he's coming off 2 successful years. He had really good spring training. Couple outings didn't go his way at the beginning of the year, but then he got hurt. So with Holderman, it's a matter of getting healthy, getting him back in games, enough game activity where he feels like he can repeat his delivery, execute his stuff, and then he's back on the team. In David's case, we optioned him to go and accomplish something, to go and work on something specific. And to his credit, while certainly he doesn't want to be in AAA, and that was a difficult decision and conversation, to his credit and not surprisingly, he's gone down there and completely sold out to what he wanted to do, what we felt he needed to do. He's been an incredible teammate. He's pitched very well. We feel like he's certainly trending, toward accomplishing the objective that he went down there to accomplish. So, different cases, but bottom line, excited to get both of them back on the team as soon as they're ready to do so.
One of the guys I think a lot of fans are excited to be part of that 16 to 18 is Bubba Chandler. What are you looking for him as he continues to develop down there?
Yeah, there's some pitch, just refining some pitch shape stuff that he's working on coming out of spring training, the breaking balls in particular, and then just usage. He's now got 4 potentially really good pitches, and the AAA lineups, especially as he builds volume, will challenge him and just how he's using those pitches. So I would like to see him just get a little, get some more reps with that, just the usage and where he's going in different situations, how he's using the stuff, and then the volume itself. As I think we've talked about before with Bubba, the hopeful outcome is that he's helping us win games in 2025 at some point, and hopefully when that happens, we don't want to shut that down. We don't want to end it before we're done playing in 2025. And so we're managing that volume a bit early in the season by keeping him with more conservative pitch counts while he's in AAA. At some point, that will start to build. Probably as we get into May, et cetera, that will start to build and get closer to a normal, starters pitch count, and then, at that point, we'll see where we are, see where he is.
You kind of answered my question on Bubba there. That's a similar approach to kind of what you guys did with Paul last year, right?
Yeah, they're different pitchers, and I want to be careful not to compare the two, but
Yeah.
there's some similarities with how we approached it.
Ben, you mentioned that you want to have some patience with it and allow guys to have the opportunity. Are there some players at AAA offensively that are knocking at the door? Do you feel like you have some options there?
there's definitely guys there that we believe can help us. I think we also want them to kind of knock the door down, you know, and not just sort of wait for the opportunity, but let's knock it down. And some guys there that are doing well, and guys there that are working on some specific things. It was also a really strange start to the season for Indy. They weren't playing baseball for 10 days or something, you know, so it was like a little bit hard to get on a roll. I think they're starting to play regularly now and starting to see some guys have more consistent at bats, and we'll see where that lands. But you know, between the guys that are coming back from injuries and some of the other players who are in Indianapolis now, certainly one part of having a better offense is going to be some of those guys forcing their way, either getting healthy or forcing their way onto the team and being part of that deeper lineup that we talked about.
Ben, when you made the decision to move O'Neal to center, I'm sure you knew there'd be some growing pains and then some flashes where he's looked really good out there. Just what's the assessment of him as a center fielder and the confidence level in him moving forward out there?
Really high level of confidence over time. We're still seeing the physical skills, the athletic skills that should add up to being a good center fielder. The speed, the arm strength, those things that can't be taught are there, and we've seen plays that show that, show he's capable of doing that. And then we've seen some days where it hasn't, been consistent enough or tight enough, for sure. And he's aware of that. That's something he knows about. So we just got to continue to work with him and help him, and he's got to keep doing the work himself and be accountable for it. And full confidence that that's going to happen, and also believe that we will and need to have more consistent and better center field defense over the course of the season. We think that'll happen.
Ben Todd has said that Spencer is doing all baseball activities. What's his timeline? What needs to happen to get here?
Yeah, expect he'll go to Florida sometime soon so that he can get into and we're going to go on the West Coast on a trip, obviously, so that he can continue to get really consistent work, and also he'll have the opportunity to start getting into game situations in Florida with the extended program, and then from there, assuming that goes well, we'll build out a rehab calendar. He hasn't played a single game of baseball in 2025, so I would expect that we're looking at something as close to a full spring training as we can engineer. It may not be exactly a spring training, but this will be this is not going to be like a 5-game rehab assignment or something. It's going to be longer than that.
Is June a good timeline? Like, we expect him back sometime in June, like whether it's
we're
beginning or mid?
hopeful to beat that. But I'm also not going to put a date on it. It's just hard to say exactly.
With first base already being a concern because of Spencer, and you lose Triolo for a 10-day stretch, and you have Andy out for however long he's going to be out. How much of a concern is first base, and especially the defensive end of it?
Well, it hasn't played out the way we anticipated back in December, but it still might. And what's been great is that Valdez has stepped up and done a really good job. His defense has been solid. I think he's given a really good at-bat against right-hand pitching in particular. He's had some key hits. He's another guy I kind of referenced earlier, but as we look at the numbers, we feel like his surface performance is below what the expected would be. Like he's hit us some bad luck. So I feel like he's given us really good at-bats, particularly against righties. The defense has been solid. So that's been great as he stepped up and taken advantage of an opportunity. But yeah, of course we want even more, and we feel like we'll have a chance to get that when guys get healthy. And Valdi certainly worked himself into being part of our team mix. That he can do other things. We'll see where that goes as we get a little bit healthier.
Say with Nick going down as well, as that kind of complicated things that maybe a guy who would have given you some middle infield defense. That's kind of forced Triolo to be in that mix.
Well, yeah, we sort of, at one point pretty quickly we lost basically all of our right side infield options that we, thought we were starting the year with, other than Frage. So we kind of had to adjust quickly, and guys just had to play. And some guys have stepped up. It's been good, but yeah, obviously state the obvious. healthier we are, the deeper we'll be, and the more options we'll have. And if that means we end up getting into tough decisions because of that, great. Like we would love tough decisions because there have been some days in the last 10 days or so when it's been, you kind of had to get creative to fill it out.
What's the balance between having patience on various guys get healthy and offensive numbers can improve, but also being in a season where the team has real expectations?
Yeah, I mean, all we want to do is win every day, and we can gotta control the parts we can control. We can't force things. It's April, and so we're mostly going to rely. Most teams are going to rely on the players that are inside the organization. We certainly have an eye out, and already, we have an eye out outside the organization. We'll keep an eye on things, and having conversations, but it just trades don't usually happen this soon. So we've got to, rely on the guys that are here, and we believe in the guys that are here, and some guys, like I said, some guys have stepped up. We're going to get healthier, and then over the course of the season, if we do what I believe we will do, then there'll be opportunities to add to it at some point.
And Bob Nutting said in the opening homestand that we need to win now. How much pressure has that put on yourself and Derek Shelton to try to make that happen?
I mean, nobody has to tell us that, right? Like, and nobody has to tell the players that. Everybody in the clubhouse knows that's the job. So there's no news there. I think to some degree, and I've said it out loud too. To some degree, I think we're communicating on behalf of the organization, right? That is the expectation, and of course it should be the expectation. And we want our fans to know that. We want everybody to know that. I don't believe that anybody in our clubhouse needs to know that. They know that. It's not news to them. And the way you do that inside our clubhouse is to nail the process, right? Like do the things that add up to winning. And that's the stuff that we need to keep focusing on.